Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm taking a look at the two latest versions of the LEGO Burrow. On the left we have 76437, the Burrow Collector's Edition. It's got 2,405 pieces, 10 minifigures, and retails for $260. It was just released a couple of months ago. And then on the right we have 75980, Attack on the Burrow, 1,047 pieces, 8 minifigures, and it retailed for $100 back in 2020. I do have the 2010 version of the Burrow as well, but unfortunately it's been dismantled and scattered around my parts collection for about a decade now, so I can't bring it into this comparison. Before we get into it though, I do want to remind everyone that I am an employee of the LEGO Group. However, all opinions expressed in these videos are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the LEGO Group, and LEGO is a registered trademark of the LEGO Group of companies, which does not sponsor, authorize, or endorse this site. Let's kick things off with a minifigure comparison. So the set on the right from 2020 was based on the Half-Blood Prince in the totally made up for the movie scene where the Death Eaters attack the Burrow. So you got Mrs. Weasley, Mr. Weasley, Ron, Ginny, Harry, Nymphadora Tonks, Bellatrix Lestrange, and Fenrir Greyback. This was like pretty much a total update of the 2010 set. I love all Bellatrix minifigures, but the biggest flaw with these figures is the lack of printing on any of the minifigure legs except for Fenrir Greyback. Of course, it doesn't really matter for the normal minifigures, but it looks awful on the skirts for Molly and Bellatrix in particular. If you look over at the minifigure selection for the new Collector's Edition set, you have the entire Weasley family and Harry. And not only does everyone that needs leg printing get leg printing, which in this case is just Molly, but hey, she needed it and she got it, she also has arm printing. And so that detail, coupled with the fact that you're getting all of the Weasleys for the first time and some awesome new exclusive face prints, because in the 2020 set, Mrs. Weasley did reuse a Helga Hufflepuff's face print, which definitely worked, but it's not ideal. With all that in mind, the 2024 set definitely has the better minifigure selection because you just can't top getting all of the Weasleys in one set. Although shout out to Tonks, it was really great to get a Tonks minifigure for the first time in this set in 2020. Moving into the builds, you can see that they're very similar because, they're depicting the same thing. And you can really see the difference between an adult-focused set and a kids-focused set, although I do stand by my statement in my Burrow review that the big Burrow set is, still much more of a play set than a collector set. It does look gorgeous on the outside, though. That's the one thing it has going for it. Much more realistic roof color scheme without the bright red of the 2020 model, but I liked that bright red. I never had a problem with it, and I still like it even in comparison to the Collector's Edition one. It just pops. I think that it looks really cool. The Collector's Edition set is definitely more accurate, but I think there's nothing wrong with adding some color into a literal toy. I don't know which window color is more accurate, but you can see that we have some teal windows on the newer model, whereas on the older model they were sand blue. In this case, the teal really adds a little pop of color to the bigger model, but I am guessing that that's more screen accurate, because otherwise why would the designer have used that color? And some features always remain consistent between Burrow's sets. We've had a pig in, I think, every one. I think we had one in the 2010 set as well, because I remember being really fascinated with that when I was a kid. You do get 2 pigs in the 2024 set, and just 1 pig in the 2020. But you can see that even the shaping of the pig pen is very similar, and the shaping of the front door with that little archway or awning over the front door, it's very similar. The detail is just dialed up on the Collector's Edition model. You do get a side build in the 2020 set with the little fire thing for Bellatrix and Fenrir. There are no side builds in the Collector's Edition set, but it doesn't really need any. I've actually gone ahead and switched the sides of the camera that the models are on because I just feel like it makes more sense to have the older one on the left side and the newer one on the right. But here's the head-on view, and obviously the new one wins because it's got that wonky falling apart aesthetic that the Burrow is supposed to have. The 2020 set had a little bit of that, but you don't realize how much better the new version is until you build it, really. I wanted to say until you put them side to side, but no, you could tell while you were building the new model that the way it's tilting and twisting is just so perfect compared to the quote unquote real building. So that definitely makes the head-on view of the newer model better, but what also makes it better is the fact that it's closed on all sides because the 2020 model is completely open on its left side if you're viewing it from the front, which we're going to see in just a second. Here's the left side of both models, and once again, the new one wins. It's going to win in all the exterior competitions because, come on, it just looks amazing with all the windows sticking out and everything. And yes, this one was open back. That's totally fine. Like, it really enhanced the playability. I like that the 2020 model can both like fold open and has an open back, but it does make the 2024 version so much better that we finally have a Burrow set that's fully enclosed. And the back of the 2024 model wins as well because there's just detail back there compared to a complete lack of detail on the 2020 model, which again isn't a criticism. It's totally fine that it has no detail, but it does make the new one better. But now it's time to get into interior detail. The 2020 set was interesting because it has this little wall that will kind of open out to give you some access into the living room. And then it also has the kitchen that swings out in addition to that open side. So it's a very unique way of accessing a LEGO set's interior. Whereas the 2024 model just does the good old fashioned like hinges in the middle, and then you can split it right open. So here are the fully opened interiors of both sets, which kind of makes them look like three different burrows because of the split in half nature of the newer set. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rooms that are constant between the two sets. So first up, we've got the living room and fireplace, and you know what? There is something better in the 2020 set. This one has more detail. There's chopped logs, there's a bookshelf, there's the fireplace, there's a little side table, and then you have like flowers and lamps and like candles and a whole couch. The newer model has one armchair, a kitchen sink, and the fireplace. Now, the fireplaces are definitely not created equal because both of them have a feature. On the 2020 version, you can turn a little gear on the side, and that makes the flames in the fireplace change color from orange to green to represent the Flu network happening, but you can't put a minifigure in there. You know, like there's no play feature there. There is a play feature on the collector's edition one, which I guess it's kind of weird when you think about it, that like the kid's toy didn't have a play feature and the adult one does. But basically, I should probably get a minifigure for this to properly demonstrate it. But you put a minifigure right there and then turn this knob, and then they go zooming up into the chimney, and then they can come right back down. So that's a really cool feature, but as you can see, it sucks up all the space in the main part of the house. So that leaves no room for cool details like you saw in the 2020 set. And I've actually just disconnected the halves of the 2024 Burrow for an easier comparison, but I forgot there's even living room detail on the other side of the wall in the 2020 set. You have that same armchair on the left, you've got more bookshelf, you've got clocks, there's like a whole thing. And then the kitchen is pretty nice. You have a full kitchen table with seating for 6, eggs and waffles on the table, some plants on the side, and then a really gorgeous sink build. I really like the build for that sink. I do not like the build for this sink. I think it is extremely basic for a collector's edition set, and that's because it incorporates a play feature, but I don't want a play feature like that in an adult set. I want a really nice looking sink, so I think it's kind of messed up that we have a better sink in the older set. As for the dining room, there's obviously much more space in this set, and that's just because there's no structure above it. It's just an empty little addition. This set, it's obviously a little bit more cramped because it has to, fit inside the footprint of the entire model, but I still think it's super detailed. There is seating for 8 minifigures around the table, so I really like that. And there's a bunch of detail on the walls, but it is mostly done with stickers. There's a little bit of brick building, but it's super sticker reliant in this room. We're going to skip right over Ginny's room for now and go to Mr. and Mrs. Weasley's room. I think that the bed is better on the new version, and I like the room more overall on the new set because it's just like a little bit more cramped. I think it's more exciting. Like, I really enjoyed building that room with the weird windows sticking out. There is more room on the older version, though, and there is an Easter egg that you don't have in the collector's edition set. I hope you can see that. It's the Weasley family like trip to Egypt photo. That would have been a nice inclusion in the big set. And this bedroom does have enough room to put in another chair with magic knitting needles. That being said, I do think that the room is better on the collector's edition model just because the bed is way nicer. The whole space, I feel like, is nicer, even though I don't think it has less detail. I think it just has a different detail. I've done a whole review on the new set, but you do have more rooms in this one that aren't present in the 2020 version, and that includes Fred and George's bedroom and Percy's bedroom at the top. Both of them have a similar balcony space, though. You've got a balcony space on top of Percy's bedroom here, and on top of Ron's bedroom in the 2020 model. You'll also get a bathroom in the newer set, but unfortunately, it totally blocks access to Ginny's room. Her room is easily accessible over here, which it has to be for play, but in the new set, there's no way for a minifigure to get there. If you, as a human, want to get there, and I just realized that this roof has been on wrong the entire time, so sorry about that. But if you want to get there as a human, you need to take off Ron's bedroom, and then you can peek inside, and you can see that Ginny's room, it's small, but it's pretty nicely detailed with a desk, a bed, and then if I just kind of turn this whole thing around and break off this top section, it's really hard to get access to it, but you can see some posters on her wall. Her bedroom in the older set, it still has a bunch of detail, like you have a little desk with a vanity and a hairbrush, she has a broom on her wall, there is a poster back there for the Weird Sisters, and she does still have her bed, so it's a pretty comparable level of detail, but I don't know. I mean, I think it looks better on the new version, but this version is much more accessible. And finally, for Ron's bedroom, very sparse on the 2020 set, but you do have a Chudley Cannons poster and his bed. That's all the detail you get. There's way more detail in the collector's edition set. You still have the same poster, you still have the bedspread, but you also have a bunch of knickknacks and a full balcony coming off of his room, which is pretty nice. Because in the 2020 model, there's just a suggestion of a balcony, because of course it's really hard to do that at that scale. I love doing videos like these because obviously the new one is better. You can't compete at this scale. At least not usually. I do think that this comparison has shown that in some cases, the 2020 set actually has much better interior detail than the new one. I love the interior detail on the new set, but as I said in my review, it can be quite hard to access some of the rooms. I don't like that there's no discernible way to access Ginny's room, and I think the bathroom is awkwardly placed. And I wouldn't complain about something like that in the 2020 set because it's a play set that's missing a wall. But once you put that missing wall in, I feel like the house should make sense, even if it's held together with magic. I think that the kitchen space and living room space is definitely better on the older model, but I think the bedrooms are pretty significantly upgraded in the newer one. And overall, the newer one is better because it's just so beautiful from the exterior. Yeah, that stuff on the interior annoys me a little bit, but I'm glad the detail is there, and I'm never going to see it once it's up on a shelf. So let me know what you guys think about these sets in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com, and I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.